Hi, welcome to Tiny Teacup Reads. So I took a tiny break from this channel, about 8 years. There was some stuff going on in my life, but I've really missed making these videos and I thought I would try to get back into them. So I hope I remember how this works. So for my first video back, I thought I would do a wrap-up of all the books that I read in the month of January, which was 17, which is crazy. That's not normal for me. But there was winter break and I did a lot of reading then, and once you get back into it, I just couldn't stop. So the first book that I read was a short nonfiction one called The Wild West by Hourly History. So as the title would suggest, it gives you a fairly brief history on the Wild West of America. I have to say it is fairly surface level, it never goes too deep, but that is sort of the whole shtick of these books, is that you can read them in about an hour. And for somebody like me who didn't have a whole lot of knowledge about the Wild West, this was an interesting and really quick read. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then the next book I read was called The Vintage Shop of Second Chances by Libby Page. So this one focuses on a vintage shop, and more specifically a yellow dress in that shop, and how several women across the globe are connected to this shop. It was a fun and quick read, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read a book called The Missing Ones by Patricia Gibney. This one was a crime thriller set in Ireland, which is what drew me to the book in the first place. It begins with a woman's body being found in a cathedral and centers around the detective that has to try to solve this mystery that involves apparently the Catholic Church and a former children's home. This was another quick read, and again, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Then, still in the winter break here, I read one of my favorite books of the month called The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I've read several of her books by now, and I've always enjoyed them. This one is a mystery set in the Scottish Highlands during New Year's Eve, where several old friends come together and one of them ends up dead. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Really recommend it if you're into thrillers or mysteries. The next book I read was called The Girls in the Water by Victoria Jenkins. I was still on a bit of a crime/thriller spree at this point. And while this book wasn't bad, I have to admit that I cannot remember anything that happened in this until I looked it up on Goodreads to make this video. It was a fun and quick read though, so I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Little Girls Sleeping by Jennifer Chase was the next book that I read. Again, another crime/thriller. At this point, I was going through Kindle and looking up books that were fairly cheap to bulk out my library. This was another one that was a quick read, but fairly forgettable, another 3 out of 5 stars for me. Then finally, moving away from that genre, I read a book called Opposites Attract by, I gotta look this up, Camilla. It's spelled Isley, but it might be pronounced Eiley. I'll put it up here so you can look it up. As the cover and the title suggests, this one was a romance with two characters that are very much the opposite of each other, but will they manage to overcome their differences and get together? Yes they will. Another 3 out of 5 stars for me. Back to the crime/thriller genre, The Next Girl by Camilla Kovac. And I think this one was my favorite out of all the crime/thriller ones. This one begins with a mysterious newborn baby that is abandoned on the street, and it is soon discovered that the mother is a woman that has been missing for 4 years. This one was one that I read really quickly because I did want to figure out what happens. The ending left me a little bit unsatisfied, but I give it a 3.5 stars. Another fun and quick one was Murder at Marinara by Rosie Genova. This one is about a murder mystery writer who returns to her family's restaurant and is involved in a murder mystery of her own. Like I said, fun and quick, 3 out of 5 stars for me. Then I read my second Libby Page book. This one was called The Lifeline. Apparently this one is a sequel, which I didn't know until I looked it up on Goodreads, but it was totally fine. You don't have to have read the first one to enjoy this one. This one is about a new mother called Kate who is really struggling with her situation, and she begins swimming in the local river where she meets several other women. I found this one really sweet, and I thought it handled some fairly difficult topics in a very tactful way. I gave this one a 3.5 stars. Back to the crime and mystery once again. This one was called One Left Alive by Helen Pfeiffer. In this one, a detective is on her very first proper case where a whole family has been murdered except for one who has been, like the title suggests, left alive. It was quick and enjoyable. I was slightly disappointed with the ending. I feel like it was kind of rushed and didn't make complete sense to me. So a 3 out of 5 stars. And then for one of my favorite books of the month, this one was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm not going to say too much about this one because I do want to do a full review, so I will leave that for that. But safe to say, I really enjoyed this one. It was a 4 out of 5 stars from me. Okay, off topic, but can we discuss this? I know these book covers are pretty controversial. People either love them or hate them. I just wanted to say I'm on the hate them front. I feel like they look cheap, and like this could be slapped on like 100 different books and it wouldn't matter. But let me know in the comments what you think, because I'm really curious to know if I'm just a hater. Another one of my favorite books that I read right afterwards was called Strong Female Character by the comedian Fern Brady. Again, I want to do a full review of this one, so I'm not going to say too much, but this one was an autobiography, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I really think that it was worth the read. Then another cheesy one, this was called Paint Your Song by Maya Kinley. I'm looking over there because that's where my Goodreads is. This one is about a painter who meets one of the band members of his favorite bands at his parents' hotel and how their relationship develops. It was cute, really fluffy, very quick read, 3 out of 5 stars. Another one of my favorites was called Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This one was very inspired by folklore and fairy tale, which I found fascinating, but again, I do want to make a full review of this, so stay tuned for that one. 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Little Flower Shop by the Sea by Ali McNamara, who I think I've read books by before, but I can't remember what they are right now. So the main character of this story is called Poppy, who is a very aimless 30-year-old with a bit of a past, who inherits the flower shop that used to belong to her mother. And even though she has no interest in flowers or in running a business, she has to figure out how to make this work. This was yet another really quick and easy read that I gave 3 out of 5 stars. And then lastly, book number 17 was The King's Witches by Kate Foster. This one was my first historical fiction of the year, which is weird because I usually love historical fiction and read a whole bunch of it. This one is set in the 16th century in Europe and is inspired by real events, specifically the witch trials in Scotland at the time. So this one weaves together the story of several women at the time. So this was a very interesting topic to me, and I do want to see if I can find more along the same lines. So if you have any recommendations for books during this time or with this particular topic, let me know. It was a quick read. I just wish that there had been more and that it had gone more in depth. So this one was a 3.5 for me as well. So that was all of the books that I read in January. Again, don't get used to these amount of books in a wrap-up, because like I said, this was the first time this has happened, and I don't think it's ever going to happen again. But have you read any of these books? And if so, did you like them? Or do you have any recommendations for me of things that are similar that you think I would enjoy? Please let me know in the comments below. So thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.